Mr. Ashmit Alag, the founder and chief designer at Transform Design, a firm who are connoisseurs and designers of exquisitely luxurious and timeless designs in architecture. After graduating from the Parsons School of Design, Ashmit specialized in visual merchandising, but now has designed in over 6 countries in varied fields of architecture. Hello Ashmit, how are you? It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So let's start from the beginning. 15 years ago when you started off in the industry, how difficult was it? And what changes have you noticed till now when you have an established firm?
When I came over, I didn't know a lot of verbiage, what is used for our industry. So I suffered from it. Also, the English that I spoke had a strong accent. And I used to get higher rates, longer timelines, just about everything, because I think I gave the idea that I'm a tourist over here for adventure.
Right.
If it works, great. If it doesn't work, I'm going to go back. Those were the larger challenges. And then I didn't know anybody from the industry because I didn't study here. I had no idea about potential clients, how the industry works. But a couple of projects in the beginning, they paved path, and the clients were very helpful, rather to say, to pave path and work forth. The difference between then and now is that we're in a little bit position to be able to control the way we work and how other people work with us. The other difference would be, I think there is more difference than similarity to work in US and in India.
Oh really?
Yeah, we might be working on the same thing, but the approach is completely different.
Okay.
So to streamline that was important, but I'm glad it's done.
That's true. So that brings me to my next question. Did you have difficulty in adapting to the sensibilities of India because you studied abroad, studied at Parsons? Was that a challenge?
No, that was not a challenge. In fact, as a design company, we never pose ourselves as interior designers or architects. We position ourselves as premium and luxury lifestyle consultants. So it's not about beauty or good-looking interiors. It's about how the habitation becomes. You know, it's not what it is, but what it does for you. And I believe luxury clients are not Indian clients or American clients or European. Luxury clients are international clients. They're just luxury clients.
True.
So the sensitivity remains the same. That wasn't a part of the challenge at all. What was, however, interesting is when I used to do my pitch to prospective clients, they used to say, "Oh, ye to hame kisi ne bataya hi nahi." Yeah. And that became such a great thing. And what also largely landed up happening coincidentally is that we became the natural choice for people who would want to move into a joint family.
Oh.
Because when you address a lifestyle, not only the destination will be beautiful, which is in terms of design, but the journey has to be very coherent too. You know, so different people's opinion needs to be matched, which can't be. But if you lend them a hearing air, which is amount of service or luxury, then it becomes kind of easy to become malleable. So design also took a backstage, and people started focusing, okay, this is the kind of lifestyle we want, this is the kind of staff uniforms and all of that, which nobody was providing. So fortunately for me, I didn't have to stand in a competition line. There was nobody addressing it.
So do you think you got that experience from your own personal life? Because I do know you live in a joint family and you have done up your house yourself. Do you think you brought that experience there as well?
Since a child, I've been very keen on how things have to be. You know, for instance, even in my own wardrobe, and my mother tells me that even when I was in early school, my clothing would be equidistant, you know, the way the towels will be, the way everything would be in terms of service. So be a highly serviced environment, which also makes me believe that, you know, in India we believe luxury is all about money. I personally think luxury has got almost nothing to do with money. You know, it's important to a particular level, but luxury is how you conduct the same thing, you know, rather than just with higher objects for that matter. I usually joke about it. There's a difference between an Amir and a Rais. So when you become Rais, you are not dependent on money anymore.
Right.
And the understanding of that throughout, also through a few friends and their family, and landed up working with the royalties in US. That exposure helped hugely. So when you bring that on the platter to the clients in terms of what it can be, again, we're not talking about interiors, we're talking about a lifestyle. Made it easy, made it very commonsensical, because a client might not be able to understand a design or a style, but everybody understands what a lifestyle is going to be.
Agreed. And when, like, it's you cater to different lifestyles when you say that you enjoy making something for a joint family. But then the sensibilities there are so different when you compare India with other countries, and you have worked in other countries. So is there a major difference there, and how do you cater to that?
You know, the interesting challenge in India, or a regular question is clients asking कि आजकल क्या चल रहा है?
Right. I will also ask you that.
Should I answer that later or now then?
No, please answer. You're saving time for me, making it easier.
So my answer to that is that it's a wrong question. हालांकि a question can never be wrong. You know, ideally only an answer can be wrong. But it is a wrong question because जो आजकल चल रहा है वो कल परसों नहीं चलेगा. फिर क्या करोगे? And the exposure in India towards design is very internet based. Or is hospitality based when people would travel out. When you look at hospitality, you look at the latest trends. Now, I believe India is a culture where we might change our cars thrice in 10 years, but we usually don't change a sofa even once in 10 years.
True.
So the question ki aajkal kya chal raha hai is just fundamentally flawed. Because home cannot be trend-centric and neither can the life sim. So you do something which is more permanent, more timeless, and it sets you free forever.
Okay, so then I'll frame it in a different way. Not what are the current trends, but what do you think is timeless? What are the elements that you would put in a project that you know will be timeless and this question won't be asked?
There is no answer for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, certain materials are timeless, you know. Surprisingly, we're at A class, and why not? But the point is that stone is timeless, wood is timeless, certain amount of metals is timeless. About 4 years ago, rose gold came in big time, but it wasn't supposed to be timeless, and it isn't. It's already faded out.
Right.
So timeless would be things which have already stood the test of time, and if you take details from it, you can render it so. Which also means that you take something very contemporary in its design, but as you start adding details into it, it becomes more and more timeless. Strip it off details and it becomes very fad or trend centric.
Very interesting. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, Ashmit, because your firm is fairly 15 years old. So how important is PR and digital marketing in this day and age? Do you agree with it? Do you succumb to it? As an expansion strategy, how important is it?
I'm a tourist to this idea. You know, I'll tell you, we don't have a Facebook account. We made an Instagram account. Somebody made it for me. Somebody from the design fraternity.
Okay.
Sarah, I believe, has the highest number of followers on Instagram as a designer in India. I call her Mommy Ji because she opened my account.
Okay.
But we're sleeping on it. Our website is a web page with a downloadable profile, so somebody has to do the effort. If you come to our office, there is no board, there's not even a door handle. So in a lot of ways, we're averse to social media.
All
We
right.
haven't done anything at all. And it works for us. So we only work through referral, absolutely. In fact, I believe it's difficult to find us on the internet. And
It is quite, I tried.
yeah. So it works for us.
Okay.
You know, Hindi, I'm going to say something in Hindi. In this, what my dadi used to say. She used to say कि चलते घोड़े को चाबुक नहीं मारते. So if a thing works for you,
Agreed.
keep it on. So I have no intention to be stronger on internet for that matter.
And what about PR and marketing?
Same thing.
Same thing? Okay. जैसा चल रहा है, it's going fine.
So I can say this, that every client, in fact, the downloadable profile has, I believe, about 20 pages, only 8 pictures, only, that's very weird, but maybe about 30 client names, okay, and described with the style of the house, the area, and the person, knowing that and hoping that a prospective client would know one of those people. If a prospective client calls one of those people, our job is done. Every client is a brand ambassador.
Okay, then brings me to the next question. Out of all the client lists that there are on the portfolio, what has been your personal passion project that you really enjoyed making and you felt like working with the client was also in tandem?
So when I came to India, I used to design only retail, okay? I'm a big believer of the word only, you know, needlepoint precision. So I believe that if you're likely to sit on 2 stools, you're likely to sit on the ground. So focus on only one thing. Retail is what I focused on. For the first 8 years, we did nothing but retail. Nothing else. And we became one of the largest companies in terms of portfolio. And we got a 40 under 40, which is an international accolade. Transform was the first Asian company, still is the only Asian company to have that accolade. And then this client came in from a very strong background in luxury and said कि मेरा घर बनाना है, classical बनाना है, and all of that. Yes, I have no idea, no experience. And they had another architect. I said, if I meet with the architect, I'm sure he's going to shoo me off. And I believe that in my mind, that if I go to the site and the architect sees me, after 2 minutes, if he tells me, go back home, I should not feel bad at all because I'm absolutely not worthy of it. But the architect was brilliant, Mr. Sanjay Kataria. And he gave a nod to the client and we designed that house. and that became
A benchmark.
a great foundation for everything to happen. Both the husband, wife, son, everybody was involved in that project. Extremely detailed they were. So, they gave me the wind beneath the wings. In fact, he also gave me the wings. He made me aware of it. And his brief was, okay, do what you want to do, whatever you want to do, as long as it makes sense to me. And everything made sense to him. It's been about 8 years and we're doing some part of the house again.
Oh, lovely.
Classical homes are living homes. I don't mean to say anything against modern homes, but classical homes are always living homes. They're kushnuma.
That's so sweet. Even I believe that I believe in classical architecture, but that's what I wanted to ask you next. That what is your own personal design space like?
So we're making our house again.
Oh.
We just started last Monday. My father started it. The house is on the theme modern classic. So it's a contemporary house to look at. Okay, in the first glance, it seems like contemporary, but you can look at it for much longer. The thing about the difference between something which is timeless and something contemporary is that contemporary is time-centric. It could be like torn jeans for now. It would be great in vogue. Or you remember there was this trend which came in that you would just put a white dot around the eyes.
Right.
Yeah, last year. That's contemporary.
I didn't do that, thankfully. Yes,
Yeah,
I remember that.
That's contemporary. It came in and had a very poor shelf life and it went out. But something which is supposed to be timeless, and a lot of contemporary designs are timeless. A lot of Four Seasons, a lot of even Oberoi's work, even if it has to be contemporary, becomes timeless. So our house is on the face of it contemporary, but so many details that if a contemporary house you can see for a minute, this one you can probably see for about an hour, hour and a half.
That's quite interesting. I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
So, like your company is called Transform. What do you personally like transforming? And would you rather prefer that somebody gives you an existing project that you have to revamp, or you rather start from scratch? What is your own personal transform project that you like working on?
Both ways. So the reason it's also called Transform is it's not called a beautiful space. It's called Transform because it's about life. It's not about interiors or exteriors. And my point is that, a lot of times what happens is people might be living in a house and they think that when we move to a bigger house or another location, their lifestyle is going to change. They think a different set of friends are going to start coming in, or they will end up leveraging themselves upper in the society or lower.
Right.
And it never happens because it just cannot happen. And I believe that's the role of a consultant, to tell them that while you're thinking that the space you're going to be living in is going to be completely different, but do not expect a revolution in your lifestyle. You will not change.
True.
Expect an evolution. So the transformation is also very gradual, which means you get a set of clients, whatever league they belong in, and in the process of designing for them, which could be anywhere from 6 months to 3 years, you gradually uplift them into a new sect of understanding things in luxury. So that's how it is. It's not revolution at all. It's only evolution.
So the surroundings actually reflect on the person.
Yeah,
Eventually.
I'm on my 8th assignment to design the servingware and cutlery for a European royalty, king of a country. And I've done it for about 20 such royalties, which also means, for instance, if the soup is supposed to be at 27 degrees and the room temperature is 21 degrees, the cutlery will also become 21 degrees.
Of course.
And when you have the first sip of the soup, usually the soup spoon's bottom palate is going to touch your tongue and there will be a thermal shock. Now it might sound like a big word, thermal shock, but the point is that it is a matter of detail. So the intent is to get to that level, how it will not be disrupted. Now when you understand things from that absolute level, anything that you touch will have that detail. And I have an example to share. When the Britishers were leaving India, they knew they were going to leave India. They were making India Gate and all of those areas, yeah? And they knew that we were slaves. Nobody likes slaves, especially if the slaves are saying, go back. But because their general thought process, understanding of details, architecture, was so high quality that even if they did something maybe half-heartedly, they couldn't do a bad job. And the example would be the railing at India Gate. It is not stainless steel, it's iron, but it's still not corroded. So when you learn from the absolute top, the best details, whatever you touch will naturally become better.
So Ashmit, where do you see the industry, the design and architecture industry in the next 5 years, and your firm too?
I believe that in India, homes cost a lot to get made. And the joke is that for the price you can make a house in India, you can buy a house in Europe or America, including the land.
Really?
Yeah. So I see a lot of efficiency in terms of how we're spending money coming into being. I don't see the budgets being reduced, and they shouldn't get reduced, but the clients will finally land up getting a lot more, because as we are expanding, opening, there's a larger amount of, also the real bottleneck is the consultants, unfortunately. हम बहुत पैसे खर्चते हैं और बहुत कम मिलता है. But now the exposure which is coming in, it will help the client extract more value. I see that happening. I see more timeless details coming in. Now, some people call timeless traditional or classical, but timeless is just timeless. It's like a Chanel black dress.
Right.
It's neither classical nor something, but you call it timeless or you call it classic. When we do that, wastage is automatically going to get minimized because you don't fall out of trend. So that's going to happen. A lot of great practices have started. Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. Great designers are coming in. New people are coming in line as well. So as the competition increases, the exposure overall, because the competition will also ensure that the design practices land up learning more to be able to deliver more. I think we're running towards that side, a Satyug in architecture.
Oh, lovely. That's a lovely thought.
Inshallah.
Do you also think that sustainability is going to become a big factor because of the current situation in architecture and design in the future?
It has always been sustainable. I mean, if you make something which is good, again, the answer comes in with something which is timeless. If it is timeless, it will sustain itself. If it's trendy, then even if it is good by quality, you'll have to throw it away because it's just out of fashion or out of trend. So make it good, invest a little more than what you would have thought, but make it for a longer period of time. It will serve you longer period and essentially become cheaper.
Okay, so let's move on to your Academy of Applied Arts. How did that come about and what was the idea behind it?
So even when we want to hire a lot of Indian talent, and that's what I hear from a lot of fraternity, that even after graduation you want to hire students, you have to hire them because there's no choice, but are they employable is a big question mark.
Right.
Because despite 4, 5, sometimes 6 years of education, they would come in and they will have very poor base work done in terms of practicality. And I thought, rather than sitting in air-conditioned rooms and cribbing that things are not improving, let's partake in improvement. And that's how Academy came in.
So this is the perfect question to ask you then. What advice would you give to the young students out there, especially of your university or college, that what is the one thing that you should do while starting out? And what is the one thing that you shouldn't do? Maybe the mistakes that you made that you would advise them not to.
You see, knowledge has become very easy to access now because of internet. And internet doesn't even make us armchair philosophers. It just makes us armchair bearers. And there is a difference between knowing about something and knowing something. I might just excuse myself and watch a YouTube video 10 minutes and tell you and talk about open heart surgery because I know about it. But do I know it? That's the fundamental difference. So students must get engaged on very, very practical levels. Ideally adopt a site. If somebody is an architecture student or interior design student, they should adopt a site, which means that it's somebody else's project. They should speak to the owner or the architect and take a permission that, is it okay for me to come and visit every week? So that they start understanding how things are happening. So by the time they get into the job, which is day 0 or internship, they don't just have bookish knowledge. They need to step out of the internet as much as possible, go to real libraries. When you look at pictures on the internet or on the screen versus when you flip a page of a book, the way memory works, and this is, when we came from our home or office over here, we must have seen at least a few thousand billboards and posters, right?
Right.
How many do you remember? Probably 0.
None.
That's the way it happens. But if you opened a door of a single shop 10 days ago, you would remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's psychology. That's the way the brain works. So when you read through a book versus when you read through internet, there's a big difference. So going to library is going to help. Adopting sites, doing a lot of market survey review. Unfortunately, the exhibitions have shut down because of COVID. But then there are so many vendor bases which can be. So to go and learn about products and be detailed. I mean, take only one subject, 2 weeks, finish it off, then move forward.
And the advice that one shouldn't do? Something that you did, your personal experience?
Internet.
Internet.
Internet is a disease. Yeah, I need to pull out of it. When people look at pictures, unfortunately, again, internet does not usually provide a lot of description. Okay, or it might provide description, but people don't read it. Reading the description is very important because then you understand why it should not be done rather than just seeing it.
Okay, that brings me to my next question about post-COVID. Do you see a difference in the way you've dealt with clients and how the client has responded to the whole situation? Your perspective, has it changed?
The client's perspective towards a better home has changed. You know, it's become more righteous, more honest, and more truthful. You know, also in our culture, we don't, you know, we're a lakad hajam, patthar hajam, paisa haathon ki mail hai, saath kya le jaoge, that kind of a society, which is just completely untrue because life has to be lived in luxury now. People have started understanding that whoever has invested good in a house are the only ones who are rejoicing from it. So overall, the budgets have gone up. And while people had a lot of time to sit within a family and talk about it, designs have improved better because now you don't have extremities in design that one room is very different from the other. So coherence in terms of design, understanding and lifestyle has come up too. Lesser back and forth which is happening.
Oh, that's a welcome change, it seems.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Great. Okay, thank you so much, Ashmit. You were such a delight to ask questions because I feel like you've answered all the questions that I didn't even ask, which I wanted to. So I'm out of questions. So I'm going to move on to my rapid fire round. Fairly simple, fairly fun. I'll throw questions at you, choices, and you have to pick yours. Okay, so are you ready?
Yep.
Brace yourself.
Yes.
Drum roll.
Don't ask difficult questions.
Not at all. With you, I don't think any question is difficult.
Only the answer can be.
Yeah, that I don't guarantee. That's up to you. Okay, so here we go. Okay, the first question. Contemporary or classic?
Classic.
Okay. Minimalistic or eclectic?
Eclectic.
Striking facade or striking interiors?
Interiors.
Interiors, okay. Work from home or go to office?
Office.
Office. Sustainability or durability?
Sustainability.
Okay. Bright light or low light?
Low light.
Low light. Okay. Your favorite work of architecture in your city?
Oh, I'll be very biased if I say that. I'll have to skip it.
Oh, really? Okay. Something that you have not been involved with.
I'll be biased about it.
Okay. All right.
I have many friends, no foes.
Oh, all right. Fine. We'll skip that. Favorite material to work with?
Wood and stone.
Wood and stone. Okay. Favorite concept to work with?
Lutyens. Anything on Lutyens design.
Ah, lovely. Okay. Well, you did very well. I'm out of questions. That was quite rapid.
Super duper.
Good
Do I go to the
job.
bonus round now or no?
Which round? I don't have any other rounds. I am out of rounds. I am stumped by Mr. Ashmit. I don't have anything else to say.
Very glad to know.
Thank you so much, Ashmit. I had an absolute blast and I hope so did you.
Yep.
Anything that you would like to say as a parting note? Would be
No,
welcome.
it's been great and I'm glad. Let's catch up for the party.
Yes,
I'll
for
tell
sure. Done. All right. Thank you.
Indeed.
I would now like to call upon Mr. Rajesh Bhandari from A-Class Marble to get a memento signed by Mr. Ashmit Alag. What a delightful conversation with the wonderful orator Ashmit Alag from Transform Design. That's it for today. See you all on the next episode of The Chat Trap. This is me, Pavleen Gujral, signing off. Ciao.